Okay, the third point in your model is about presentation. And I think that presentation is obviously something that is really relevant to online website shopping. Specifically, one of the things that I know that most people have a reasonably good-looking website anymore. That's not an issue. You don't see a whole lot of websites that look like they were designed in the 1990s anymore. But one of the things that I still see when it relates to presentation is that people don't provide enough information for someone to actually make a purchasing decision. They'll throw up a picture and the price and maybe have a one-line description about, here's a set of insulated gloves. But they don't really give you the specs and the details as to why somebody should buy that particular product over buying a different product. Can you think of any other examples as it relates to presentation and how to think about this?
Certainly. I mean, the big picture of this, it's the idea that it's not just the way, or it includes the way that things look, the way they sound, even, the tone and the sequence of what someone's going to see and hear. Those are all part of it, right? So you say you definitely want your aesthetics to be good. And I would say the intermediate level between aesthetics and what you just mentioned is the idea that, yes, it has to be, quote unquote, pretty, right, or look good. But the next step below that is that it also has to be, I would say, solid. And here's an example. An example is that if you've got photos of something you're representing for sale, and there's different varieties. There's, let's say, the large or the small or whatever, and all your photos refer to one version of it, then maybe it looks good, but you've missed out because someone wants to know, okay, does the other one still look the same? Or does this other series or this other model? And in some cases, I've seen that where the people try to pull a disclaimer that says, a blank model shown or, whatever. Sometimes you have to do that, I guess. But what really, I know that as a customer, just picture the idea that someone wants to be able to, the closest they can get to see and feel and touch what's in front of them. So the other point I'd mention related to that is, you mentioned specifications. And I think for some products and some offerings, you almost want to have an idea of having different groupings. Having the idea about a description or about features and benefits, whatever you're going to call it, as one side. You can have things that relate to, say, reviews as another piece of this, things that customers are saying about it. Then you might have materials that are background technical materials. And with some of the products that I deal with sometimes, having that tab, you can say, I've got something from the manufacturer that's got the detailed specifications, or it's got the installation guide, or it's got the warranty, all right there, the actual, usually PDF documents. That is so great. And remember what I said before, if someone comes to your site and they're looking for support or something related to a product they've already purchased, and I don't mean support in the sense of, I want to return this, just support, it doesn't work the way I expected, I'm trying to figure it out, or whatever. If they have an easy remembrance of, when I went to the products page, it was all right there. And the installation guide is right there in a PDF that I can get anytime. That makes it so much easier. I know a lot of companies have got separate support channels and separate support websites, but why not put all that product information that's going to be most important right there? Because here is another thing, and this isn't really part of the model of 5, but having a large operation is great. A lot of people really seek that. Having something that's multinational, that's all great. And I've seen many of those be very successful. But be careful about thinking that as you grow, you can then send somebody down the hall to another department and have it okay with the customer. Because that's the idea. Right. The idea is that sometimes big offerings lead the person who's offering it to say, that's handled by this other department. Go down there. And I got to tell you, there's a very large electronics manufacturer that I won't mention their name. They've got a consumer division and they've got a commercial division. Well, guess what? About half of the products are the same between both of those divisions. And if you're shopping, you don't want to go to the professional website per se. If you're a customer, you just want the product that you want. And they've made an unnecessary distinction. They could have taken that professional and consumer distinction and put it down when you've decided to purchase, because then the terms might be different, or the delivery, or the packaging, or whatever else. So I would say, one of the really important things is just to consider all the things someone might be interested in. And thank you for raising this, because this gets into one deeper idea when you're constructing your offering, which is, have you gone through a process of trying to outline the decision-making process that your customers might use? Not that you, as the person selling it, is going to use or think that they're going to use, but the process that they might use. And what you'll realize is that it's not always uniform, it's not always logical, and it's not always the same for your entire customer base. So if you factor that into the beginning, you'll be much better off.
Yeah, that's actually huge. I've got some customers that think that they know what their customers want, and as a result, they have created their business models around these thoughts, but they don't know that that's what their customers want. They just are like, this is the way we do things, therefore our customers must think the same way we do, and that's the way we're going to continue to do things. And it can cause real problems in business.
Yeah, and I would say I've seen some lifestyle brands and lifestyle products, and you think about maybe like in the outdoor product space, where there's a really narrowly defined market segment. The product is for enthusiasts. The people that work there are enthusiasts. I hate to say it like this, but you can kind of get away with it if your offering is that narrow, but that's pretty rare. That's pretty rare, because even in the space I just mentioned, there are the hardcore folks, but guess what? Just about every hardcore outdoor products company I know gets a bulk of their sales from people that are a lot more casual than the ones that are the ones that live and breathe it. So you really should think twice before you say, no, I know their mind. I'm thinking the same way they think. That's not always the case.
Yeah. Since we're talking about presentation, you mentioned outdoor products. This is a really good example also as it relates to presentation, is that I go to so many websites and they will have a picture up there of, say, a backpack on a white screen, so the backpack is cut out and it looks like the backpack is just floating on their website. And when it comes to presentation, it makes so much more sense to me to actually show that particular product in context. Somebody hiking through the forest with this backpack on. Then one, you can see the relative size of the pack compared to the person. This is a really little pack, this is a big pack. You can tell that because it's actually on a person. You're not just sitting there showing the dimensions. And you can kind of get a feel for how this product can be used. And I think that can be really important in presentation, to show products in context instead of just a floating product on a white background.
Oh, absolutely. And that is another great example, is that online, the thing that we all have to get past is the idea that you don't have the context of the tangible world. You're looking at everything through a screen.
Yep.
And if you've got something where the proportion is not self-evident, I mean, if you see a pencil, we all know the size of a pencil. So my pencil, everyone's going to assume it's the same size. But if I've got a bag or an electronic device, and I see this in consumer electronics, you see entertainment gear, and you say, well, what the proportion it is, you don't realize, is it this big, or is it that big? So giving people a sense of the way it'll look and feel in the real world. And if that's something wearable, a photo or video of someone, and maybe someone smaller and larger with it on. If it's another thing that's just a product, show it in the installation where it would be. Show it sitting on someone's shelf with some other items around it. And ideally, have it both as a still photo and have it as a video. That would be ideal. I know that if I was looking for something, I just think about that process. You don't want, and that's, I guess, the other thing I would caution against is I had a demo a few months ago of one of these virtual reality enhancements on a site where that essentially you get your smartphone or your tablet, you use a certain app, and then they've got a catalog or whatever they're giving you, and you can use your smartphone to see this 3D version of something. Say it was a car. The car would come to life. You'd look at it, and the car would
see yourself sitting in the car.
Well, their app actually, you would use the your smartphone almost like glass, like 3D glasses, and you'd look at a picture of a car, but then the car, it would turn into a video, or it would turn into an interactive 3D model where you could move it around. And fascinating and neat stuff. But here's the issue. The issue is if you only got something as sophisticated as that 3D levitating model that may be device dependent, maybe slow to load, maybe whatever, I might just want the photo gallery. I might just want to be able to drop in and just take a quick look at the left, right, and
right.
front and rear views. So I'm not, and there's lots of different iterations of how the new versions of things can come out. I mean, and you know what? And actually, that actually presentation, I'll say it also comes in. I see the QR codes that are related. Is that I think that some companies kind of are just starting to catch on with those as the idea is just starting to die out. I'm not against QR codes, and I think they do have their place. But I'm saying don't pat yourself in the back too much for throwing one on there. Okay, they have their use. There are certain industries, certain contexts, but it's not the universal means that everyone uses to get more information from something they see sitting out there. It's something where that. Be careful about thinking that's going to solve a lot of problems for you. It's okay to use them in certain contexts, but
yeah, actually, one great context of it is, and I was talking with a customer about this the other day, is they have a physical store and they don't really have enough staff to go around and answer everybody's question in the whole store. So it's like, why not just put a QR code next to the product that people have questions about on a regular basis? They're sitting there with their smartphone, and it brings up a video describing that product for them and how it can be used.
All right, so now let me
store.
So now let me ask you a question right now, though. Okay, just for the sake of someone who's to consider embracing that, I haven't seen any smartphone maker put that functionality into their core apps. You're on your own to decide what app's going to do it.
Exactly.
So isn't that a little bit of a hurdle? Is that you got to guide somebody towards saying, hey, use this particular, I mean, not that they're hard to find, but you just think about typical kind of off-the-shelf product user, they might not be ready, they might say, scan what? So, and you know what I guess I would suggest is that that's the sort of thing, and this is...
It goes back to helpfulness.
Exactly, helpfulness and presentation both.
One final thing that I wanted to talk about in presentation is the actual packaging that happens when somebody gets the product. And in some cases it looks like maybe the packaging was done on somebody's kitchen table, and that may be okay if that's the type of thing that you're trying to present your company, but if it's not, then you obviously need to do something about that. And the other thing as it relates to packaging is it seems like, why not make it a marketing piece at the same time? Throw in a coupon in there that says, hey, thanks for your purchase, here's 10% off your next purchase. And so the whole packaging is something that really helps to define your brand, as well as getting customers to continue to do business with you.
Good point. Some of the work in the other parts of my experience that I've had has been working with distribution centers and shipping and mail order operations. And one of the things I noticed there is how that some relatively low budget operations can still have pleasant and appealing packaging and pleasant and appealing experience for those people who are unboxing. And I like to pick on Apple and say, when you get a new iPhone or an Apple device, well, you just assume that they've got that's why they can have such a beautiful experience, because they've got so many resources. And sure they do, but they do put a lot of thought into that whole experience, into every single item that comes out of the package. We've got this little brochure with this many pages stacked on this. You lift this tab, and the phone is presented. That sort of thing is accessible to anyone in terms of thinking about the experience. And one of the things I think could be good on your product information section on a web site would be you could include a what's in the box or even an unboxing video if it was something where you thought that would appeal for the particular product you're trying to sell. And something prominent, just take a look, do a YouTube search for unboxing and then just leave it blank.
Especially ones that have these blister packs where you have to take a utility knife to get them open.
But that's what you see is you see two things. You see the passionate, good stuff, like new video game consoles for the first time, people excitedly unboxing, and then you see unboxing nightmares, and you want to be on the right side of that.
Yep.